18th. It's already fall. September 18th meeting.
Yep.
I want to welcome the public that are present here, both here and online in Zoom. And I just want to remember, hopefully it may be just for me, although I've got this trusty microphone now, to please, when you're presenting or asking a question, please speak loudly. We want to make sure that the people on Zoom can hear us as well. So, that would be really helpful. So I guess it looks like we can call the meeting to order. And what I'd like to do today, and I did this last time, is, and I know we need to do roll call, but I also would like to have everyone go around and quickly introduce themselves, both commissioners, staff, and public in the room, so that we get to know each other a little better. So if you want to get started with the roll call.
For sure. Manny Bichelli,
Here.
Bill DeVincenti,
Present.
Glenn Garfunkel,
Present.
Macwin Savio de Salsa,
Here.
Lucia Marquez, Ruth Merino, Karen Nelson,
Here.
Victor Neymar,
Here.
Philip Remaker,
Here.
Tracy Wang, Rio Wakabayashi.
Good here.
Yes.
That was good.
There you go. Thank you. Welcome.
And so could the public, could we hear from the public and just go around and introduce yourselves?
Mila Bacala. And my name is Lisa Chapoutier.
Okay, great. We have two members of the public here. And staff, could you go ahead and introduce yourselves along with the department that you work in, your role in the city?
Yeah, I'm Hannah Greenberg. I'm an analyst with Climate Smart on the energy department. I'm on Ann's team.
And I'm Zach Strike. I'm the assistant director in the energy department.
Great. We have a smaller group tonight. All right. We do have a quorum of commissioners, so we can get started. So in terms of orders of the day, you've all received today's meeting agenda. Is there a motion to accept?
Yes.
Sure, Victor?
Second.
And a second for Bill?
Mhm.
Could we have a vote on the motion to accept the agenda for today? And the agenda is accepted, as approved? All right. Let's move on from the orders of the day to the public record. Anne, is there anything on the agenda for the public record?
No, we did not receive it.
No. All right, okay. And this is not a public record, but I'm going on record to wish Anne a happy birthday.
Hey, how did you know it's my birthday?
We're taking photos today.
That was a secret.
Oh, thank you. This is nice. Oh, thank you.
Virgo twins.
That's really the public record. All right, well, moving on, we didn't sing happy birthday. So this is the next, third on the agenda is the open forum. And is there anyone in the public, this is strictly for the public's opportunity to speak on an item that's not in today's agenda. So is there anyone here in the room from the public that would like to speak? No, and can we have people from Zoom speak in the public forum?
No. We
No,
have to
okay.
be in person.
Okay, so we will move on with nothing to add from the open forum and move on to the consent calendar. And I think you all received a link to the minutes for July 17th for review. And are there any corrections to those minutes for July? So if there are no corrections, then the minutes stand as approved. Now we're moving on to reports and information only. And I think we'll start with the climate smart 6-month look ahead. And Anne, I think you're gonna lead us through that. That's appendix A. Or
So-
attachment A.
Yes, attachment A. So we did the full month of September. Obviously, some of these dates have passed. So the single family building reach code did already go to council. It did not pass. I don't know if anybody was aware. There was a lot of discussion. It lasted for several hours, but in the end, it was a split vote, 5-5. And Mulcahy was absent and it did not pass.
But if Mulcahy was present, it wouldn't have passed either.
We don't know, but we suspect it would have because he did sign on a letter with Councilmember Cohen
Oh, he
in
was on.
support of it.
It was in the Cohen letter.
So,
Actually, so my question, I had a question.
Go ahead, sure, Glenn.
I don't know, maybe Karen can answer. Were alternatives 2 and 3 up for vote, or was it only the full package or alternative 1?
I don't know that I would be fully informed on all of the alternatives. I know there was a lot of briefings happening up to it, and the AC to heat pump was the main one that was up for discussion that day. But yeah, I could look into it further and let you know more, but.
And I would have the same comment that Ann does because I wasn't in the meeting, so I'm not sure. My impression was that it wasn't included, but I don't know.
I don't think
Zach?
there was much appetite for, I think 1 was the best shot.
But the reason I ask is, okay, so 1 didn't pass. 2 is not so bad, especially if 1, I mean, better than nothing. So, unless they were counting on 1 passing and then.
I don't, I mean, the amended, Cohen's amendment, that was what got a vote.
I see,
Mhm.
I see, okay. But, I can't exactly remember his letter, but he gave the other options, right? But-
No, I think just alternative 1 is what he focused on.
And the reason I mention this is because I can see alternative 1, people potentially arguing that it was more expensive. But the expense associated with alternative 2 which is making electric ready for alterations or modifications wasn't really very expensive. Yeah. Okay.
But it had a very uncertain benefit associated with it too.
Mm-hmm,
So,
Yeah, but
right,
now we have nothing, so,
right,
well, I
yeah, I
we
understand.
can talk offline if you want.
yeah.
That same day, the electrification workforce development programs went to council and they were approved. We have our commission meeting tonight, which I actually didn't list on here, I'm noticing now, but then on Monday, I will be taking the Climate Smart Plan update to the Youth Commission and presenting there. And then we have, we're taking the Climate Smart Plan update along with the greenhouse gas inventory and our semi-annual update to Transportation Environment Committee on October 6th. And the Climate Smart Zero Waste element will be at least updated on October 6th. I don't know if the full element is up for a vote on that day. And then we have a few other dates listed further out. October 7th is the San Jose Clean Energy Integrated Resource Plan. Is that correct still?
That is still the right placeholder,
Okay.
yes.
Let's see. And then we do have a program listed on here. So if any of you have networks that might be interested, we have our Silicon Valley Youth Climate Action Climate Smart Youth Video Competition, which is open and accepting videos. Right now it's open to middle school and high school students. And it's being supported by CreaTV, and the Tenacious Group is also doing outreach. And I don't know if you want to say anything about it, since I know Mani's been helping with the program.
Yes, we're very excited to be having students be able to submit it on a variety of themes based on Climate Smart's core principles of action. And then it's going to be capped off by sometime in January, public screening of the videos, hopefully at council chambers. So we hope that it will be a good opportunity to spotlight the ideas on climate action by our city students and then bring them into contact with, hopefully there will be a number of council members there, city staff, be able to connect them with those who are the decision makers and policy makers on climate in the city. So please do help.
We're really excited about it.
Any question?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's just open to high school students or?
Middle school and high school students.
If it's a competition, does that mean there's an award? Okay.
There are prizes, yeah. There's two different categories, long videos and short videos. Short videos are 1 to 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes and to 5 minutes, is that correct? Or the long videos?
Yes.
And then we also have listed on here this notice of funding opportunity. This is a grant for the zero waste, in support of the zero waste element, that they are waiting for their notice of funding, but they expect it to be sometime in October. So keep an eye out for that. We do link to the webpage for that on the agenda, so feel free to check that out. And I think it's mostly targeted towards businesses in the community, but it's a pretty interesting grant, so feel free to share that as well.
And where's the grant coming from?
You know what, I don't actually know. I think Alana presented at the stakeholders meeting just recently, but I can't recall where the funding was coming from, but I can look into that if you're curious, yeah.
Thanks.
Would a golf and country club be considered a business?
I think so, yeah. I think the idea is just about waste reduction and minimization and cleaning the waste stream, so I think they're pretty broad in the types of ideas that they're accepting for that. And then we also have some dates further out for the Climate Adaptation Resilience Plan, and Michael will be, I believe, bringing that back to all of you a little bit later. So I think actually early 2026 that's coming back. So Zach.
And a late breaking one, December 2nd, we're targeting to bring another energy prepayment bond to council for approval, just like the one we did last October. Some of you will remember.
And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think we have the updated date for rates on
Right.
here.
So we are planning to go to council in early December also for, let's call it round 1 of next year's rates, which we propose to go into effect January 1. And that we hope to come here in November to talk about that. So we have some scheduling to talk about later in the front. But so 2 items for the Energy Department in early December. Rates, calendar year 2026 rates, and then this prepayment bond.
Zach, could you give a short definition of how a prepayment bond works?
I can. It's a really complicated transaction, but bonds are issued on on the city's behalf for San Jose Clean Energy, and the proceeds from those bonds are used to partially prepay some of the energy contracts that San Jose Clean Energy has entered into. And in exchange for that, a discount is provided.
Oh, okay. And the discount is for the overall funding, the cost of that program?
Well, the discount is because we're paying early, right? Just like a lot of things in life, right?
Is this
It's the same thing we did in October, yeah.
How much did you save last year? It's like $8 million, wasn't it?
A year. Yeah, $8
$8
million a year
Wow.
for the guaranteed for the first 8
I'm
years.
glad you
of the-
you're going to do this again.
Yeah, wow.
And this is not a revenue bond.
This is not a revenue bond. These are not city bonds.
Okay.
These are issued by something called a bond conduit, another joint powers agency called California Community Choice Financing Authority. CCCFA. Anyway, it rolls right off the tongue. And it was set up to do this kind of thing, and it's issued for 20 of them now for the different CCAs.
Interesting. Oh,
So are there any other questions related to the 6-month look ahead? Other than that, then I guess let's move on to an update from the Transportation Environment Committee, the work plan and annual report presentation.
Yeah, Yeah, so after our last meeting, there was a lot of questions about potential legislative advocacy. We were hoping to have a little bit more information, so we might have to add a follow-up on this item later as well. But I've been talking with Stephen and Scott from the Energy Department, and we're trying to think of a way that we can have like maybe provide you all with recommendation letters that have been submitted like between meetings, so it would be sort of a standing item where we just add that to the agenda packet. We're trying to work out the details of what might work for that. But we did talk to the attorneys about if there could be like a role on the commission. So we met with Karen and she asked specifically like, could there be like a legislative chair on the commission? We were told that is possible, but we would have to amend our bylaws to do that, which would mean that we couldn't take that to council until like the next fiscal year when we bring our work plan to transportation and environment. But that isn't a possibility. If that's something you all feel strongly about doing, it would require a vote, and then we would basically have to draft a memo and bring that before Transportation and Environment Committee. As an interim step, the commission could create an ad hoc committee, but we would likely need that to be a member of one due to the challenges of having staff support on that, and it would be term limited to a maximum of 6 months. Alternatively, we could just have an individual commissioner who would monitor legislative matters like as an informal thing. And then during the reports and information only, they could just provide a brief update to everyone. And then that could potentially encourage discussion for, things to be agendized at a future meeting or something like that. And that could be sort of an ongoing thing, but it just wouldn't come with an official title or role. So.
The impetus for me wondering about that is that I just feel there's so much going on from a legislative and policy point of view, that to have one of us really who cares and who wants to follow legislation, really monitoring that, it provides one step closer to the commission for us to know what's going on, and that person would, or people would report back, be able to report back to us. So it would sort of be you might say, a layer in between staff and the commission that would give us a little bit more information ongoing. But it would probably be a big effort, and I would imagine that there'd have to be, if this moves forward, there'd have to be some additional thought given to, what that person focuses on. It may be that it's just some priority bills as opposed to that long list of bills that we saw a couple of months ago from, SJCE. Anyway, it's just something at this point for you all to think about.
I have a question. Is there somebody in the city that already monitors this legislation in a broad way? I mean, if we do that, are we overlapping something that someone else already does, or can we, how does that work?
So the short answer is yes, that's essentially what Scott and Stephen do.
Who does?
Scott and Stephen, who were here at the last meeting, they provided the legislative update. And in addition, there is like a legislative work plan that is approved by City Council, which sort of gives guidance on the types of legislation that they're already monitoring and would be considering support or opposition or, any types of letters.
What would be different about the role of a commissioner stepping up to that, either informally or formally?
That's not for me.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, it serves as a closer link from staff to the commission. I think it would likely allow us to have an opportunity to voice opinion about legislation a little more frequently than waiting for staff to come to us. And that person would probably interface with staff very regularly, and then be, like I said, almost like the conduit that would provide a more regular, my guess is, a more regular, frequent, almost maybe every meeting opportunity to pose questions and think about
And was
legislation.
there a specific commissioner interested in taking on this task informally to, I guess, to do it as a hobby until we propose to change the charter? Was somebody thinking they wanted to do that?
I kind of do it as a hobby, but I'm not sure I want to take on
Alright,
doing it, so.
You're already
Okay.
doing it.
Alright,
I was actually
Yeah.
interested, Phil,
okay,
but that would be next year,
okay,
not,
Yeah,
not right now.
right, okay.
So I might be willing to do that,
Right,
at least
it's just-
maybe be the person who steps up to
Yeah.
sort out how we do
it's-
it and to see if it's
Because
valuable.
it's kind of not a small job.
Yeah,
So-
well, and that's why we have to define
Right.
what that role really is, so it isn't overwhelming, because it could be. I agree with you there.
Okay.
I might be interested in.
You might be interested?
Some guidance how to do it.
Okay, well, maybe we could work
Okay.
together somehow then, figure that out. Then we could do it as an ad hoc committee, but as two people, then we would need to have a staff person involved. So we can sort of sort through
Right.
what the best approach might be.
So I guess the summary of this discussion is, there is interest in exploring it.
Right,
Uh,
exactly.
Okay.
And we
That's
may
where
have
we're at.
more information to report back on at the next meeting too. So.
Thank you. Sorry about taking the time.
Oh, that's not a problem. Oh, and by the way, I should point out, there's I don't know, where is it? There's a 2-minute
Yeah,
warning
you.
here. Where is that?
we, it's actually a separate PowerPoint slide, so we might have to share a separate screen in order to show it, but it's just a little timer, so we thought when we have staff present, maybe we try to hold questions until the end, and then we would have a 2-minute timer, more like how a council meeting is run. Karen would always have the option to override that 2-minute timer and allow someone to continue speaking, but it would just be sort of a gauge of how long the discussion's going on, basically, so trying to help us stick to 2 hours as much as we can.
Yeah, I thought it would be good to, if we see the timer, that people would know what that's all about. So thank you for
Yes.
sharing on that. Well, I think we can move on to to old business. And I think we have a follow-up on the legislative priorities and advocacy. And Anne, I think that's you as well. Is that true?
Isn't that what we just spoke about?
Yes.
Or is that what we just did?
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
we've got that. Okay.
Did we jump over the?
Oh,
Yeah.
the Transportation and Environment
Yeah.
Committee update. I think that's what we
Okay,
missed.
there we go. All right, now we're moving on to new business.
Do we
Item-
want to talk about under reports and information only, there was an update on the Transportation and Environment Committee?
Well, actually, that's sort of where I thought we were, yeah, so yeah, if
Oh,
we
okay.
could, yeah.
Okay, so we brought the Climate Advisory Commission Annual Report and Work Plan to the Transportation and Environment Committee. Councilmember Cohen requested that we actually do a presentation. He wanted more recognition for the commission and the work that all of you are doing. It was really well received. There was a lot of positive feedback. And I wanted to let you know that he did mention that he would really love to see all of you more at council meetings and committee meetings. So if you ever have the opportunity to attend, or if we want to take votes to have people speak on the commission's behalf, I think he would really like to see all of you there as much as possible. But that said, the meetings are at 1:30 in the afternoons. Transportation Environment Committee is the first Monday of the month at 1:30, and then council meetings are on Tuesdays starting at 1:30 p.m. So it can be challenging.
For T&E, can we actually be present? I had this impression that we could only participate or be on Zoom for that, but we can actually be in the
Yeah,
room.
they're all open to the public.
Okay. All right, so is
1:30
there any-
Mondays, what day of the month?
Actually, now that I'm saying this, thank you for raising your hand because it's making me pause. They actually changed the schedule. It used to be the first Monday of every month, but they actually just recently changed it to the first Monday every other month. So, yes, there's not one, am I remembering correctly? There is one in October, but then not in November, yeah, and in December.
Anything else that you want to share on that?
Well, I think It was pretty straightforward and easy, but yeah, it was just nice to be able to talk about the commission, and there were some questions about everybody and the types of expertise that we have on here. And so they were talking about how this commission is a little different from other commissions in that it's not just district representatives. We do have technical expertise and stuff like that. And so, there's a little bit more wealth of knowledge coming from this commission than many of the other commissions. And so they just wanted to recognize the fact that you guys are doing good work and that they really appreciate the types of people that are serving on the commission.
Great, fantastic, thanks. All right, then I think and we sort of moved through old business. And is there anything else for old business that I missed, or that you're
No,
not?
we're
no,
good.
We're there, okay.
We're good.
So let's go to item A, in new business, follow up on the PBCE setback, and I think that's Aparna?
Yes, that's correct. And I think I see Aparna online. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear us, or can we hear you, Aparna?
Yes, I can certainly hear you.
We can hear you too.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Commission. I'm Aparna Ankola, Supervising Planner with Policy and Ordinance Team, Planning Division. I'm here to provide a brief update on ongoing planning efforts to include heat pump references onto the zoning code. Next slide, please. Staff acknowledges the fact that heat pumps provide a clean, efficient, and sustainable alternative. They do help reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, lower long-term energy costs, and align with our sustainability goals. Planning has been working with other divisions to ensure that we incorporate the language onto the city's current zoning code, especially in the sections related to the residential, commercial, and industrial zoning districts. There would be a minor reference in the urban village and the mixed-use zoning regulation as well. One of the items that I just wanted to highlight here is that we do want to ensure that there is conformance with the existing noise performance language that is in each respective section of the code for the residential, commercial, and also the industrial sections. And the most restrictive measurement of that is 55 decibels, measured from the property line to the equipment. And this would hold good for any residential use which is immediately adjoining. In order to ensure that we meet those standards, there would be certain material specifications or the equipment specifications that would have to meet that 55 decibel at property line at this time. And that is the concern that I think we want to bring forth here, that this is sort of a phase one assessment and we would not exceed those performance standards. Next slide, please.
A quick question. Were we supposed to hold questions?
Go ahead, Bill.
So how far from the property line to the external equipment, is there a set?
Right. So we do have, we're going to discuss that in this slide, where this is the proposed language, which we have worked with the building and fire staff to ensure that we are in conformance with the building codes. And one of the key criteria is that fire would require a minimum 3-foot clearance from the edge of that new equipment to the property line. So that is an absolute standard. So which means that the equipment would be at a distance of at least 3 feet from that, from where it is projecting out. So we do have an existing setback standard of 5 feet currently in the code. So we would allow it to encroach up to 2 feet, and then it would still leave behind the 3 foot of clearance from the property line. And so that is the current standard that we are going to be proposing And this item is going to go to PC in November of 2025, and then thereafter, City Council immediately following in early December. That's our current timeline at this point. Can we have the next slide, please? So heat pump, I just wanted to highlight that heat pump, we have tried to streamline the process wherein it would not include a planned review. And we would want to make these available for single and two-family dwellings in real time online. And the permit would include the 30 minutes of electrical inspection time and 30 minutes of mechanical inspection time. And the review for the code compliance and the installation would be performed at that time of that inspection. And our goal is to final the inspection at that time. And all equipment is expected to meet the noise performance standards. I'd like to reiterate that. And the manufacturer's DBA conformance standards would also be subject to review. And at this point, we are trying to develop a sheet which shows an equivalent DBA measurement on the equipment that would coincide with the 55 absolute DBA that we have in the code right now. And that would be made available to the applicants at the time of when the heat pumps roll out. And these would be effective towards the beginning of January. And then I think the applicants would be able to get those live online permits at that point. Next slide. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
So, of course, we're grateful to hear that the setback is reduced to 3 feet requirement. That's good, that's progress. On the noise, though, you have not provided yet any numbers to us, which is the key issue.
Right.
When will we see some numbers?
So at this point, we did find that as an approximation, the 55 dB can be considered an equivalent to the 55 dBA because both of them, although they are different measurements and we cannot equate the two, but they do incorporate the similar noise levels that we would observe. So that is one of the measurements that you can go with. So 55 dBA would be able to mitigate or would be able to conform to that noise standard at the property line of 55 decibels. So 55 dBA or less.
But if it's more than that, you'd have to put some sort of an enclosure around it?
That's correct. So there would have to be some kind of a noise attenuation, mitigation measure that has to be included.
So, but does the installer wants to know not an inspection, but ahead of time, that they have a green light, right? They can't install
So one of the standards would be that, when you would submit in real time and if you produce the cut sheets or the specification standards of the equipment at that time, and if it does indicate that it's 55 or less, then that would be a positive reference that this particular installation would go through.
Okay. And if someone has, as you know, we provided a big database of noise numbers for selection of heat pumps. There's the fraction that are under 55 dBA is not huge, maybe less than half of the products on the market. So if someone has a 58 dB, for example, what 58 dB product that they want to install, what's the likely outcome?
So if they were to incorporate the noise mitigation and they can still prove that it can be 55 dBA at that property line, then they should still be able to do it.
So, and a common strategy here is you have a dB rating versus distance from the property line.
That's correct, yes.
Typically, there's a 6 dB drop off per factor of 2 doubling. Will you guys present a table?
That is correct, yes. We will provide a table. And again, I just mentioned the 55 dB as an approximation and something that would help the applicant to identify the right equipment for that. And again, this phase one would just help the installation of a heat pump that conforms to these measurements. And any future evaluation would involve the CEQA and also extensive changes to the noise standards, and which is why that is not included as part of this process. So this is a streamlined process as long as the applicant is able to meet those current standards.
This is streamlined.
Any,
You mean, so for the full CEQA, we're gonna have to wait, what, another year, 2 years?
I mean, possibly at least it has to come in within the next year. Yeah, once this is rolled out. And the reason why we mentioned streamlined is that there is no plan check review as such. So it would be online and then you would apply for it and then there would be an inspection. So the time included in terms of the plan review is not applicable to these permits. So if you can get the inspection in that reasonable time frame pretty quickly after the submittal, then you should get the go ahead and the clearance as well.
Aparna, this might be part of what you'd already responded to for Glenn, but are you planning to have a fairly well researched chart so that people, if their noise level is excessive, that you're giving them the very specific requirements for noise mitigation? Not just that they need to do it, but that you're giving them the tools to know how to mitigate.
Absolutely. I think that is part of our process that we would provide a checklist which would include all of these variables and also any equivalent noise standards that we would have to conform to. And I think that would help the applicants to quickly place themselves and as to which of the equipment they would pick for this process. Yeah.
So,
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Glenn. Go ahead. Yeah.
So, as you know, we've been asking for 2 3 dB or more sort of allowances for inverter heat pumps, because inverter heat pumps are rarely operated at full throttle. They're almost always operated well under full throttle. So are you guys in agreement with this special treatment for inverter-based heat pumps?
So again, I think we would have to evaluate the actual noise decibels at that property line. And I think that building is also involved in that process. And I think if you can prove that there are mitigation measures that could effectively reduce it at the property line, then I think that should be able to be considered as part of this process. But I think once we develop the checklist, and we are happy to work with you, and if you can give us some live examples of that, and then we can definitely incorporate them onto that checklist as well.
Are you working, Parma, with any contractors, heat pump contractors that are really well versed in this, that are experts? Do you have them as part of your committees that you're working with?
So I think planning per se does not have access to those, but building is the one that is giving us a lot of information based on the information that they've been receiving from vendors and manufacturers. So they have the cut sheets that they've shared with us.
We've also provided them with a consultant's report that Silicon Valley Clean Energy hired.
Oh, okay.
And contracted out from RHA.
Okay.
And we are happy to work on that before we roll out the checklist. We would definitely work with the commission
Okay.
to see if there are any additional changes or additions, yeah.
So you want to go to council with this so-called phase one
Yeah, right,
By-
that's correct.
November or what?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is going as part of a larger update. And we do, because as it is a zoning code change, we do go to the airport commission, and there are timelines that have to be met, and which is the reason that for this schedule. Yeah, so it'll be end of November 19th to be precise, yeah.
So I was hoping tonight we would see some hard numbers, but other than the 3 foot setback, we're not seeing any. When will you get a preliminary to us?
The checklist related to the comparative numbers.
Exactly what the code will be.
So I think the slide 3 is where, that is the code language at this point. That's what we're going to be changing. But at the same time, I think that was in slide number 3. But at the same time, we would require that it conforms to the noise performance standards, which is in every section, it is 20.30.700 for residential, 20.40.600 for commercial, and 20.50.300 for the industrial section. So those would still be sort of the guiding regulations for the noise standards.
So we should probably move on, but Glenn, are you at a point where you want to work with Aparna directly to get more questions answered, or to get those answers about dates? Because I'm
We've been
curious
trying
too.
since November last year.
Of last year,
Yeah,
right,
and
right.
things keep getting pushed out, so, yeah. But, yeah, we can take it offline.
Okay, great. So Aparna, you be sure to be very, because you mentioned this more than once, if you could be very diligent to work to answer Glenn's questions, we'd really appreciate it.
Certainly, we'll be happy to work with them.
Just to restate your question, you're saying, I'm trying to just to make it clear, you're saying the absolute noise number compared to, say, a traditional compressor is unfair because of the nature of the way the heat pump produces noise compared to an air conditioning compressor? Or what is the?
This is just one point, but it had to do with inverter-based heat pumps are generally quieter than a traditional two-step. Continuously variable heat pumps are generally quieter than traditional on-off heat pumps.
Because some of the, so it sounds like it's almost like the measurement discipline has to change because, or how you measure because of
the problem is how it's measured. The standards on measurement is at 100% full throttle. It's a worst case. But the heat pump is rarely operated at the worst case. Yeah, that's so you want to make an allowance in the code for inverter-based heat pumps.
Is there any locality or municipality that has a better code?
Yes, we have it in Palo Alto, and I imagine there's other cities too. That one I know exactly.
Sorry, good.
Follow up to that, what is Palo Alto's language?
We negotiated, I think, a 2 dB, maybe a 3 dB, but at least a 2 dB delta for inverter-based heat pumps compared to on-off heat pumps.
Thank you.
Okay, but so the exact number is still not decided, or it's just grandfathered in from the older technology?
Well, there's only one number at the property. There's only giving one number what they were requesting at the property line. But if you're 4 feet from the property line, 5 feet from the property, 6 feet from the property line, then you should be qualifying higher decibel level for the heat pump. right? Because you're further away. The noise at the property will drop off as you get further away from the property line.
And that's the language
And
really
that
was
table,
missing.
that table is what we're asking for, and we haven't seen.
That's at the distance of 3 feet from the property line.
Right, you told me that, but if the heat pump is at 4 feet or 5 feet or 6 feet from the property line, what is the allowed? The noise level should go up as you go further from the property line.
That's correct. I mean, regardless of how far it is located, the key criteria is that at the property line, it has to measure 55 decibels or less, or comparable dB measurement. That's all we would require. So if it is, let's say, even 10 feet, and it could be at 65 dBA, and it could still be 55, measure 55 at the property line. So I think the most stringent measurement would be 3 feet from the property line. Those are the only equipment that have to sort of meet those standards more stringently. And the others have more flexibility.
Well, thank you. I think, again, I'll just say, I think there is a lot more information that we're hoping for, that we really, really look forward to you using additional research from areas that Glenn's aware of, et cetera, that you might not be, or maybe you are, but to give, I think what we're looking for is to give the resident more information so they can more appropriately make decisions prior to purchase and installation.
Sure.
As opposed to waiting for the permit review, which is a little bit late for people. Anyway, thank you, Aparna. We appreciate your work very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So great. So I think we're moving on to item B, which is the climate smart.
Should we go to item C first, because that's related to heat pump also?
Do we want to switch to item C? Is that?
The reach code action.
No, I think probably stay in order.
I think probably, yeah, I think, let's just probably do that.
They're different enough.
So item B is Climate Smart San Jose semi-annual status report. That's attachment C. And I guess that's Ann and Hannah.
I'm letting Hannah take the lead on
Great,
this.
all right.
Yeah.
Should I stay here? Is there a preference?
I think, yeah, it's whatever, wherever you feel comfortable.
Okay, I'll stay over here. But hi, good to see you all, meet you all. As I mentioned before, my name is Hannah. I'm an analyst on the Climate Smart team under Energy Department and under Ann. And today I'm going to be presenting on the Climate Smart San Jose semi-annual status report, as well as the 2025 administrative update to the Climate Smart plan, and also touching on the city's 2023 greenhouse gas inventory, community-wide greenhouse gas inventory that was done back in April. So together, these kind of paint a clear picture of San Jose's progress, challenges, and the steps that we need to accelerate in order to reach our carbon neutrality goal by 2030 goal. And so just to clarify the update, the semi-annual update will cover a period of March through August of this year of 2025. And if you could try to hold your questions until the end, that would be awesome. But if you do have pressing questions, that's totally fine too. There's a lot of kind of different stuff that'll be covered. You can go to the next slide. So brief overview. Today I'll be providing a quick background on Climate Smart, share some updates on the 2025 Climate Smart Plan update and the 2023 greenhouse gas inventory, as I mentioned, highlight progress that occurring through the Climate Smart team and initiatives during that March through August 2025 reporting period, specifically across core activities and achievements in transportation, energy, and electrification, which are kind of key or core areas of focus. Also summarize some community engagement and external funding occurring during this period. A little bit of a look ahead to upcoming initiatives and milestones, and then present staff recommendation and next steps. Next slide. So some brief background on Climate Smart. Climate Smart San Jose was first approved back in 2018 and as the city's first climate action plan, aligning local greenhouse gas reductions with the Paris Climate Agreement. In 2019, the City Council declared an official climate emergency, and somewhat to come out of that, in 2021, Council adopted a resolution setting San Jose's goal of achieving community-wide carbon neutrality by 2030. And then in 2022, Council approved the pathway to carbon neutrality by 2030, which is a roadmap or a pathway identifying 4 priority strategies for the city to achieve its goals. So the first is expanding zero-emission vehicle adoption. The second is reducing vehicle miles traveled by 20%, give or take. Third is electrifying our buildings and appliances. And then fourth is providing 100% carbon-free electricity to San Jose residents and businesses. And Climate Smart, as we've mentioned, is a part of the Energy Department and works across all city departments to lead, facilitate, and support climate mitigation initiatives, ensuring a unified citywide approach towards meeting our goals. So the current slide. This year we are bringing forth the first administrative update to the Climate Smart Plan since it was adopted back in 2018. And the purpose of the update is not to set new goals, it's an administrative update, but to keep the plan aligned with Council's carbon neutrality resolution, recent policy changes, both statewide and regional, and to align with updated and better quality data as it's become available. So a couple of key changes to the plan include, as I mentioned, incorporating the council approved carbon neutrality by 2030 goal, as well as the approved natural and working lands element. So that's carbon sequestration from natural and working lands. Aligning with new state and regional policies, some of which include SB 100, California's Advanced Clean Cars 2 regulations, and Plan Bay Area 2050. Another key change, streamlining metrics to focus on what we've identified as the most impactful actions for reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and that goes hand in hand with the key strategies outlined in our carbon neutrality pathway. I'll talk a little bit more about those in a second. Going off of the metric changes, we also added new interim milestones for 2027 to provide a benchmark, not just jump right to 2030. We also updated some of our 2030 targets only in areas where the city had already surpassed its previously set or originally set 2030 goals. In the original plan, we had 2040, 2050 goals, and for the most part, those didn't change. The only time we did readjust them was, again, if they were surpassed, similar to the 2030 ones. And then in the original Climate Smart Plan, we had a more rigid, city action plan. And so we decided to replace those with annual departmental work plans, which will be more flexible and align climate actions with budgeting and priority items each year, depending on the department. It'll just allow us more flexibility in terms of implementation and reassessing each year what needs to be done. And then importantly, the update also acknowledges that San Jose is currently not on track to reach its carbon neutrality by 2030 goals. We wanted to be transparent about that, and we also received public feedback asking for that transparency. So the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about the engagement that was done as a outreach engagement that was done to get people to review the plan. So it included both community, a lot of community and internal input. Public engagement reached residents through events, multilingual outreach. We did ads. We had, I believe, 2 or 3 webinars. And then we had the Conveyo platform, which was the platform that we used for public comment. We posted the draft on there, and people could comment and interact with it. And altogether, this all generated over 200 comments from the public. We Myself, Anne, and a couple of our other coworkers thoroughly reviewed each of the comments and incorporated feedback where possible. And we did post responses on the webpage. We replied, I think, to most comments. And then at the same time, we worked closely with more than 40 staff from 8 different departments at the city to ensure the update reflects citywide priorities and operational realities among all of the different departments. And together, this feedback, it strengthened the clarity, transparency, and the direction of the plan, we believe. And the next slide. I'll briefly talk about the 2023 greenhouse gas inventory that we conducted. Yeah.
Who's controlling this? Oh, thank you.
There you go. You're welcome.
Sorry, I just couldn't see the whole screen.
Oh,
The
yeah.
whole slide. Sorry.
No, you're good. No worries. So ahead of the plan update, again, back in April, we released San Jose's 2023 community-wide inventory. And the community-wide inventory measures total citywide emissions across all different sectors and provides the data we use to track our progress towards our carbon neutrality goal. So in 2023, just a brief overview of the results, San Jose's gross emissions were about 5.05 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. And when you account for sequestration from forests and trees, it went down slightly to little under 5 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, 4.96. Transportation continues to be the largest source of emissions consistently with past years, making up about 51% of the total inventory, followed by natural gas use in buildings, which made up about 21%. Some good news is compared to the Climate Smart Plan baseline year, which was 2017, we're seeing roughly 16% reductions in net emissions, which shows meaningful progress. However, when compared to 2021, which was the previous inventory to the 2023 one, emissions have essentially plateaued. You could say they slightly increased by about 0.2%, indicating that San Jose isn't currently, again, reiterating, I guess, San Jose isn't currently on track to meet its carbon neutrality by 2030 goals. I can talk a little bit about the graph that you see that's included in the inventory report, which is available online if you haven't seen it, or we could follow up with it. But this was developed actually using our updated Climate Smart model, which was updated or developed in tangent with the Climate Smart Plan update. And the orange dots, or just the dots, are all of our inventories, so actual data. That magenta pinkish line is up until the orange dots basically is supposed to represent historical data, and then it represents the Climate Smart Plan pathway. So if we were to fully achieve all of our metrics or our goals in the Climate Smart Plan, this is where we estimate we'd be about. Part of the reason that doesn't go all the way down is because currently the Climate Smart Plan doesn't include like the zero waste element. It doesn't include all of the different sectors of emissions that it would need to include to bring it all the way down to zero. The darker blue line on the top is business as usual if we did nothing at all. And then that lighter blue line that is just a straight line is supposed to represent the carbon neutrality pathway. And the reason that doesn't go all the way down to zero is because per the city's adopted resolution, the definition of carbon neutrality doesn't cover process and fugitive emissions, which are emissions from industrial processes and fugitive like refrigerants, et cetera. So it's just kind of slightly above zero. And so this trend reflects our continued reliance, again, on fossil fueled and single occupancy vehicles, as well as natural gas use in buildings, underscoring why these two different buckets are critical to achieving our goals. And then you can go to the next slide. So moving on or pivoting a little bit, I'm going to go into the semi-annual update content. I'll cover some of our activities and achievements highlighted from over the past 6 months, March to August of this past year. And starting with transportation, again, remains the largest source of our emissions. So reducing vehicle miles traveled and expanding zero emission transportation options continue to be our central strategies. And in this reporting period, our Department of Transportation added over 7 miles of new bikeways and upgraded nearly 33 miles of bikeways, continuing progress towards the ultimate goal of a 550-mile bikeway network. Also, the city is partnering with both Lyft and the Metropolitan Transportation Commission to deploy 500 new e-bikes and 32 new stations as a part of the bike share expansion. The Department of Transportation, or DOT, I'll refer to it as, also advanced work on the East San Jose Mobility Project, which includes bike share, the Mobility Wallet, Bike Escuela training, and community-based programs like the Promotoras Academy. These are all DOT-led efforts, so we're highlighting them here because they are critical to our climate goals, and we work closely with DOT, but I might not be able to answer specific questions on these programs, so questions can be directed to the Department of Transportation at some point or after this meeting. In the next slide, we'll pivot over to some energy-related highlights or achievements. So San Jose Clean Energy continues to drive progress towards carbon neutral power. The default green source service is already at 62% renewable, and San Jose Clean Energy is contracted for more than 1 gigawatt of new renewable and reliability resources. In terms of electrification, income qualified residents have received support for over 280 appliances and more than 1,000 devices through incentive programs. Commercial customers are also benefiting from San Jose Clean Energy programs. So over 770 businesses received rebates that together avoided roughly 35 million kilowatt hours of electricity use and saved customers about 11 million. San Jose Clean Energy also launched new programs like EcoHomes rebates and zero interest financing, which are 2 big programs, with at least 25% of those funds going to equity priority communities. And then Climate Smart had the Electric Home San Jose program, which sunsetted last year, but the incentives supported multifamily developments. And so efforts highlighted on this slide are led by San Jose Clean Energy and the Energy Department. Questions on specific details can be referred to them. Some people in the room may be able to answer questions, but otherwise, post-presentation again. We're nearing the end, but you can go to the next slide. I'll talk a little bit about some updates on external funding. So grant funding received, other funding opportunities. The Climate Smart staff continue to collaborate across departments to track and pursue private, state, and federal funding opportunities, supporting all of our initiatives. So in the semi-annual reporting period, city staff applied for about $3.65 million in new external funding, with several awards still pending. We're still waiting to hear back. And during that same period, we were awarded about $4.63 million, bringing the total executed for our fiscal year 24-25 total to nearly $4 million. So there's overlap, but they're obviously two different periods. These resources are helping a lot of our different projects. So I'll list a couple of examples, but transit station access and circulation planning. We're using some of the grant money towards our transit-oriented communities policy, biking infrastructure improvements, some of which I mentioned before, public EV charging in East San Jose, curb reallocation, and then we've got our extreme heat resiliency initiatives. And various departments are leading this work. It's all related to our Climate Smart goals, but some of the departments leading the grant work include energy, environmental services. We also have Public Works, Planning, and Transportation Department. And then while progress continues, as you all or most of you are probably aware, the freezing and reduction of some federal funding is impacting our ability to move forward with certain major initiatives, such as EV charging infrastructure projects and building energy policy development. So one example, we were originally awarded a $1 million grant through an EPA Environmental Justice Government to Government program. I think that was for EV charging or to support bike share access. It was executed at the beginning of January and then consequently rescinded about a month later. So that's all happening, and we're definitely being impacted by that in some capacity. And then you can go to the next slide. Okay, well, almost finally, looking ahead, Climate Smart and partner departments have several initiatives reaching key milestones over the next few months. On the clean transportation side, San Jose Clean Energy is launching an EV instant rebates program of up to $4,000 for income qualified customers. Staff will begin engagement for the San Jose Mobility Hubs project and continue building out bikeways and expanding the East San Jose Mobility Project. That's DOT. Those are DOT programs. And then for building electrification and energy, SJCE will launch the Go Electric Advisor to provide residents with electrification and solar/battery guidance and expand peak rewards for smart homes. In terms of plans or planning, we're going to be releasing the draft of the Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Plan, or CARP, for public review and complete adoption of the Connect North San Jose multimodal plan. And then several of these efforts will also come to City Council, you saw in an earlier slide, including the zero waste and adaptation planning. Okay, and that sums it up. You can go to the next slide. So finally, this is our proposed language for the memo for your consideration, right? The Climate Advisory Commission accepts staff's presentation on the Climate Smart San Jose semi-annual status report and updated plan and recommends adoption of the Climate Smart San Jose 2025 update by City Council. And I'll open it up to questions if anyone has questions.
And I know we have a recommendation letter, but before we get there, we can have a little discussion. I'm curious, this is a question I'm asking of you.
Yeah.
Not of staff, of you.
Sure.
If you were to pick, and this is a difficult question, doesn't have to have exactly the right answer, but if you were to pick the one thing that you feel the city could do to accelerate our emission reduction to sort of maybe get back on track, not the sector, not like transportation, but the one specific thing, and again, there might be many things, but we've just got like a potpourri of stuff. But in terms of action that really would make a difference, what do you think that might be?
You mean like the city on the whole, like the city of San Jose, or like the commission, or?
The city.
Yeah, it's really hard because a lot of it it'll depend. Yeah, I'd have to think about that.
Okay, because I think what happens is when we throw all these things into the mix, which are wonderful, don't get me wrong, but I think sometimes some of the commissioners might like to know, to sort out the most important things and analyze those.
Yeah.
Right. And like I guess I'm putting you on the line here, but you don't have to, it doesn't have to be 100% the right answer. Just from your gut, what do you think that would be?
I mean, a lot of things come down to individuals' behavior. So if there are ways that the city could nudge or get people to do things that they don't want to do, I just think that's the biggest struggle, is there are so many people that don't understand, for whatever reasons, don't want to take action. They don't want to change the way that they commute or whatever. I'm still trying to figure out like what can we do to either change for behavior change, or is there stuff that we can do to just make people do it?
I think that's a great answer. It's not about any specific program, it's about changing behavior.
Totally, yeah, and it's constantly, I'm thinking about it constantly. I think our team talks about it all the time. What are the best strategies for behavior change?
What do you think is the one, if you had to pick one behavior you'd want people to change?
I think their commute.
Okay.
Like transportation again is a really big issue. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but to that end, I actually had a question. You said you wrote on this presentation, great one by the way, 51% of energy emission is transportation, and I'm going to assume a gigantic portion of that is, people driving and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the single best way to reduce transportation distance is people living close to where they work. And to that end, I was wondering if it's out of bounds for Climate Smart San Jose to include anything about increasing housing density near where people work, or if that's an omission by intention.
We have metrics that are transit-oriented development based. We actually added we added two back into the plan based on public comment feedback and highlighting the importance of focusing on transit-oriented development and urban density. It's not, I don't want to say it's not a key strategy, but it's a little bit outside of our climate smarts jurisdiction, although we do have a working relationship with the general plan team and we brought it up to them. So it's something that we're considering and talking about, and it's in the plan technically, it's not a key strategy that we're talking about all the time. But it's really important, I 100% agree.
Great question.
Yeah.
A question, so between you show a plateauing of the inventory between 2020 and 2023. What can you break that down? I mean, what had been decelerating that failed to decelerate?
Yeah, and I could do a whole, I mean, if there's interest at some point, I could do a whole presentation just on the inventory. But I believe, so I know electricity went down a lot. It was essentially cut in half based on having cleaner energy, like energy use stayed roughly the same. Electricity use specifically, not energy, stayed roughly the same, but emissions were almost cut in half. And then on the flip side, transportation increased. A lot of the other sectors like waste, process and fugitive kind of were also plateauing, but I would say off the top of my head, transportation did increase, I believe, on-road transportation, so like passenger vehicle emissions increased. And so those two, from what I can remember, were the most significant increases. I think natural gas overall was similar, but I think I don't want to misspeak. I think like one sector, maybe residential natural gas use also increased a decent amount, but I'd have to double check.
And is it possible for us to request that Hannah from Climate Smart and someone from building come together to a commission meeting, and together we talk about the importance of both, I know you're gonna do it anyway, but to do that with us about the importance of zoning related to transit-oriented construction. Is that something that would make sense so that we can sort of hear what, these two groups coming together and have maybe even ideas about how we could motivate those two departments to move faster in that area, for instance?
I mean, I'm happy to request somebody from planning to come and do something like that. I will also say though that right now, planning is in the midst of their general plan update, and there are separate public meetings and conversations that are happening related to that. And that likely would be the most appropriate place for that type of discussion with the planning department, as once that general plan is sort of approved and finalized, that is their guiding document for the policies and programs that they're going to be putting in place, similar to how Climate Smart Plan guides our programs and policies and priorities over the next few years. For the planning team, it's really their general plan. So I would encourage all of you, if that is something of interest that you wanted to bring forth, to try to participate. I think they did just have a webinar today, but I think they're having a few more over the next, I think it goes into 2026, so.
Yeah, Bill.
In your opinion, is the 2030 plan dead? Does it need to be revised? Is it feasible that we could still achieve it?
I think it would. I don't know if I want to say I think it should be revised. I think there needs to be more urgency. And if anything, having the plan is a way to spark more change or conversations at least, and get people like it to be on the forefront of people's minds, even if that in some way that's people recognizing, oh my gosh, like how are we going to achieve this? This doesn't seem possible. I think it'll be hard to achieve it is all I'll say.
Well, I'm always a proponent of aim high because maybe you'll actually get somewhere. As
Yeah,
opposed to aiming low and, yeah.
And
So,
well, I think that's, yeah, exactly.
So, yeah,
I agree.
I would agree with that strategy, but it would not, are there any specific actions that we're taking different from what we're already doing? Say, okay, let's beef this up or let's move this forward.
Are there actions that we could be taking or should be taking?
Yeah.
I'll say like it's a bummer the reach code didn't pass. I think that kind of stuff would help us a lot, or, at least help us. We do have, the BachMed rules coming into play. That'll be helpful. So, mandates.
Which ones?
The Bay Area, the air quality
Oh,
district, the
Back.
zero NOx.
Is there, do you guys worried about any legal success, probability of legal challenge or
With
any
BachMed,
visibility?
with BachMed specifically?
Because in SoCal, they killed it, right?
And I think they're opening it up for discussions again.
Yeah.
Is ideal, so.
Separate question. So 2023 was a long time ago. Seems like forever. You guys
Yeah.
must have some, like you have EV vehicle registrations for 2024.
Yeah, we
right?
do, yeah.
Do you have per quarter?
We don't have it per quarter. Right now, we're doing annual updates. So we have EV registration data. I believe 2024 was 7.8 or something percent of passenger vehicles registered in San Jose are EVs, battery electric, not including plug-in hybrid.
And was there a big jump compared
There
to
was-
2023?
1.5%.
Compared to 2023?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you get how about gas, natural gas? CNI or
Natural?
do you guys get 2024 data?
We just got 2024 data from PG&E about a month or a couple weeks ago, so I'm still working on analyzing it. I want to say I can't remember exactly. I don't think there was a big jump in either direction. I think if anything, it was a small jump. I don't remember which direction.
I'm gonna say we have probably one or couple more questions and then we should move on
Okay.
to the
One
next.
quickie then. So as we move forward with electrification, I know in my personal case, I've eliminated natural gas for my house. Shouldn't we see that happening on a macro scale also?
I would love to see that on a macro scale.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, there's just, again, like the reach code was a good example. Like we saw that there's just this split.
But you're not seeing any
Appetite.
evidence right now, of reduction in natural gas.
No, we're not seeing it.
So,
Interesting.
Macwin, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just looking at this curve. So just what, in terms of the timelines, this plan, I know there's, it's going to the city council and so on. When will it be like actually used as a reference for all the projects and stuff? How long does it take from now?
So basically, once it's approved by council, then it's the approved plan and our essential guiding document. But I mean, to be fair, everything that's being incorporated are already approved pieces. So the pathway to carbon neutrality was already approved, and once that was approved, we were using everything that was outlined there. And the natural working lands element was also previously approved. This is just sort of formalizing and then updating the data and the metrics for our analysis for saying, are we on track, are we not on track? So it's really more just of like putting forth the higher level strategies, but not really getting into the specifics at this point, which is where the department work plans would come into play.
And do you want to read the recommendation letter, or Hannah?
This is the recommendation language.
Like just right there?
Yeah, yeah.
Now that we're at the recommendation language, I do have some suggested changes, particularly what we were talking about, the urgency of it and how we are not on track for the 2030 goals. I have a couple of notes. Particularly in the first couple of pages, I think it is important to include a more strong and explicit statement of how far we are along, because I think as a casual reader of the document, you would not get a full sense of the urgency of the situation of climate change in relation to how much we have done yet, because we didn't have the emissions reductions last year that we needed to be on track. So I can just go through like what I would suggest adding to the recommendation, and then we can discuss from there. So in the front, in the pages 9 or 11 or 12, any of these, to include a section with like a top level heading, a very specific paragraph with language stating that we are not yet on track, and sort of a call to action on how much we are off of track, and acknowledgement that the current efforts need to be scaled significantly. So currently on there, if you have it accessible, at the end of a paragraph on the left side of page 14, there's this acknowledgement that despite meaningful progress, we are not currently on track to reach carbon neutrality or meet several strategic climate goals. Basically, I think this just needs to be very strongly highlighted in a section of its own that will grab the reader's attention immediately to understand the motivation for pursuing all of these actions with urgency is that we are not yet on track.
By any chance, do you have the ability to take your ideas for modification and translate that into actual language for today to adjust? Have you done that, or?
So you're talking about edits to the plan document itself?
To the
To the,
administrative update document that was shared with us.
Uh-huh.
oh, okay.
Or you just,
Well, we
or is
still,
it easier to, is it easier to just have a separate letter saying this is
Mhm,
comments
mhm.
from Manny or from the commission if we vote or whatever?
Yeah, Manny, I think that's what we have to do. I think as Glenn's saying, we have to take and adjust the recommendation to accommodate what you're wanting to see in the report. But that would be part of our recommendation about how we would, what we want to do to be able to approve the report. Does that make sense? So we're still working on the recommendation, but we have to give specific language for modification of the recommendation for them to be able to modify the report.
Yes. So I have some language, not to the extent of the language in the plan document, but for the recommendation, I can edit it up to be from everybody's specifications. But at the front of the document in pages 9, 11, or 12, language expressing the concern of the situation, expressing how much we are off of track for our 2030 goals, an acknowledgement that the current efforts needed to be scaled significantly, and then as well as one paragraph with a top level heading and some sort of graphic or other differentiation to draw attention to it as a important part of the very introduction to the update.
I have to agree. I mean, I think, that was the comment I was trying to make, was that, we need to acknowledge that we're not on track. What do we need to do to get on track if we can get on track? And I
Yes.
think, that the commission needs to chime in and say, hey, is this still a viable plan or not?
What is the date?
I think we're gonna be here all night if we try to wordsmith the PowerPoint. I think the best we could do is perhaps add a sentence to this recommendation, possibly a sentence or a few words stating our alarm at how far behind we are
Right.
and the need for urgent action. I don't think we're in a position to modify this document, we're only in a position to make a statement about it.
Mhm.
And towards that end, I agree with what you're saying, And it is
Mhm.
alarming how far behind we are and urgent action is called for. This document doesn't call for urgent action, but we can state in our recommendation, we accept the report, but are, disappointed with the progress and see a need for greater and more urgent action.
Yes, that makes sense. Perhaps it could be worded just recommends adoption of the Climate Smart San Jose plan with the additions of these like 5 bullet points of what we're wanting to see in the document, expressing the urgency.
What's the date we need to come up with a,
The recommendation language,
yes,
it's
5
the
bullet points
CMO
may be a
yesterday.
bit much, but again.
My deadline to get recommendation language to the CMO is Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah,
So
so we gotta decide.
just settle it.
Yeah,
basically
right now.
I think you're,
Yeah, I think that's what we
can
need.
it be
Mhm.
Great. So again,
one sentence?
Right.
I also
Two
saw
sentences.
you had a lot of comments on the very well done. I tried to get through the whole 100-page document. I got a
Right.
part, but I see Manny plowed through the entire thing and had
You
lots
win
of
the
really
prize
good
for
comments.
Comments.
Right.
So,
That's a period
And
thing.
yeah, and in addition to, I think what you said, Phil, is very appropriate. And in addition to that, I think to get closer to what Manny wants is we could say, we could also add a sentence that says specifically, we want throughout the report, references to, the issues around not moving fast enough to control emissions and the need for stronger planning, more aggressive planning. And that the report would address stronger
But-
aggressive planning.
And again, thinking forward, what is the language that would lead to city council action along the way we'd like
Right.
to see?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
Vic, I'm sorry.
Vic.
I guess, when I listened to all this, I sort of got the sense that a lot of these activities have been decentralized to different departments, they're going on. And whether we accept this or not, whether the council accepts this or not, those activities are gonna continue. For the short term, for the midterm, whatever, that's what we're doing, and this is more a description of how things are going. I think all of us share alarm at the lack of progress. I get some sense that we don't fully understand the sort of the bottom up, what's adding up to not be making that progress. I mean, it's gonna be really hard to change commuters. If that's real, we gotta face that and lay that out. But we don't have any sort of structural vision that I've heard or that we've discussed as to how you get to net zero or in some mechanical way. And I know we're interested in that. That's something that takes time. But it is the heart of what we're doing. I mean, when I switch from a Camry to a Tesla, I'm knocking 2 tons out. I don't know what San Jose's emission budget is, but that's 2 tons out of, how many million is our, I don't know what our emissions are. Can you tell me?
5
million.
5 million.
Metric tons.
Okay, so, that tells you sort of little things about how many cars or something like that. Having something that's structural, that's concrete, it's not something we're gonna craft at this meeting. I would be for passing this just as is and moving on, but putting something for a future meeting where we can get into the nitty gritty and have time to talk about these things in a way that is, real enough that we could make concrete recommendations of what we might do to better get the goal.
And I think we're close with what Manny did and what Phil's, I asked him to write something down so we have a concrete.
And again,
we can inject that in there so that it does just make a statement now. I think it's important to make a statement now.
To add the point of alarm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I support.
So
Right.
sorry, Manny, I'd wanna.
Yes, I agree with what you're saying about the broader point. This amendment that I would propose to the recommendation specifically is the specific concern of somebody who's briefly reading through the document, especially somebody from city government, somebody from city council. I want them to see very early on a bolded, highlighted portion of the fact that we are not yet on track and that sense of urgency. So like just one heading, one section that will very clearly show that.
So, sorry,
No, I just want to hear what
so
you.
I would like to, make a motion for what the language might be. Does anybody want to second the?
Yeah.
I
second.
Okay, great.
And I guess Bill seconded it.
Okay. So for simplicity, let's leave the statement as it stands and add the following qualification. However, we are alarmed at the slow progress against the 2030 goals and urge the council to invest in more urgent actions. Now, what those are, that's just sort of, that's just the flag that we're waving. It's like, okay, we accept it, we see it, but we're really disappointed and then we need to do better. Now, that's not a reflection against all the things. It's just that we're looking at it saying, is this the best we can do?
So we have a motion on the table. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, I just have one,
sentence. Yeah.
could be a sentence or a couple of sentences to include in that.
I'm gonna write that down.
Here, why don't I write it down as I specifically, are you ready?
Yeah.
We recommend the inclusion in the Climate Smart San Jose 2025 update, a section with a heading expressing concern that we are off of track of our climate goals, how much we are off track, and an acknowledgement that current efforts need to be scaled significantly in order to meet those goals.
So you want the report modified with an acknowledgement in the report of that fact?
Yeah, specifically in the introduction, like
Okay.
pages 13 or 14.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, are you asking that to be in our statement or are you asking for an edit in the report that we're making the statement about?
He wants it in the report. Yeah.
Well, I
He
think
wants it in our
he wants it in the
statement, it's making a
recommendation,
request.
exactly.
I don't believe that we control it. I think the time for us
We can say-
editing the report
Yeah,
is
we
past.
So we can say, oh,
Yeah.
right, really?
You can recommend,
We can say
you
anything
can
we
recommend
want.
whatever you want.
May have
That
no
just
impact.
means our report
Okay.
would still be going to council as is, but council could direct us to then make this
Right.
edit based on the feedback from the commission, and we would be incorporating any changes that our council directed from that point.
We should probably wrap this up because we still have more to do, but so we've got two modifications. Oh, yes, from the public.
I just was wondering, when is the time for public comment on this? I know you guys are eager.
Oh, please go ahead. It's now.
Okay, so just a brief public comment. I agree with you guys about the urgency and that the language should be stronger. I am also quite concerned about data centers and how that factors into how we're going to be meeting our climate goals. And I don't know if you guys have been looking at that already, because the last meeting we had, it was still kind of uncertain how that element was going to work. And what I would like to see as a member of the public is just to see if we could at some way start the discussion about data centers before we're actually being forced to have them, and try to get some recommendations of, okay, we will pass these or accept the data centers if they meet these criteria, so that we're making the commission or that there is some language that's already guiding it as to what is acceptable, rather than having to answer once they've already been started. So
I think not just us, but there's a lot of discussion about data centers. It's definitely something that's our team is talking about, or acknowledges could be an issue, and is also a particular point of interest for folks like yourselves. So it's conversations that are happening now.
do you know what next steps will be? Internal conversation?
I don't have any next steps. Know what are the next steps right now. I think things are also just evolving constantly, and we're not there yet, but the conversation's going.
Given that things are moving so fast with tech, data center, AI, all that. I'd just like to request or urge you to have some sort of guidance.
Yeah, I can say a few things. I mean, the good news here is that nothing actually happens that fast here in the city, as we know. So these data centers are, they get permitted like everybody else, and we see that train coming. So that's a unique thing that we as a CCA, that's part of the city, we actually have more visibility than a lot of our other CCA brethren. Two things. One, the San Jose Clean Energy is in the process of thinking through what new, they're called tariffs or rates, requirements that we would offer / require of data center of certain sizes. And would bring that to, or intending to bring that to council for consideration, probably early in the spring, before March next year. That's one thing. The other is that the state rule, anything of 50 megawatts and above, any data center, and that's it's a sizable load, but it's nothing like what you hear about on the radio. But that's gonna be a big one here. Anyway, to get past CEC, CEQA and all that, they have to take 100% carbon-free energy, whether it's from us or somebody else. So, and we know of a couple of those projects.
So San Jose SJCE is specifically thinking about a special tariff?
Or tariffs,
For large,
yeah.
or tariffs?
Yeah.
I see.
So I love that point. Something I'm actually personally interested in myself. And it's definitely taken under advisement. It should be something we add probably explicitly to a future meeting. But I don't think that it specifically applies to this document that we're working on at the moment. But it is, in fact, something we understand is on everybody's mind. And I'm happy to hear that the clean energy, the requirement over 50 megawatts is fantastic.
That's not our requirement. That's a state thing.
I know that's I wasn't aware of that, and that's
good.
There's some really interesting horror stories, especially coming out of Atlanta, for these plants that are just dropped in places that are gross polluters alongside the data center, and I'm glad that's not possible in California. So,
Shall we have a motion on the table that includes Phil's language and also Manny's request. Could you guys are you able to to give us back the language that you think should be modified, that should modify the recommendation, so that we can sort of wrap this up?
Was this to?
Manny, I think you've done that already, I think. You've
I
given
can read back what I have. I'm definitely missing some pieces, but I can read back what I have if you all can fill
Okay.
in the blanks that I missed. So I basically have this: the Climate Advisory Commission accepts staff's presentation on the Climate Smart San Jose semi-annual status report and updated plan, and recommends adoption of the Climate Smart San Jose 2025 update by City Council. However, we are alarmed at the slow progress against the goals, and I don't have the rest,
the 2030 goals,
the 2030 goals.
And urge the council to invest in more urgent actions.
More urgent action.
And
then Manny, you want
and
to?
Manny has some
Yeah, and then I have.
further.
And we also recommend the inclusion in the update, a section with a heading expressing concern that we are off track, how much we are off track, and the acknowledgement that, and then I don't have the rest of that.
Yeah, shall I just read
Sure.
like a final thing that I
Yeah.
have? We specifically recommend the inclusion early
Read slower.
Okay, sorry. We specifically recommend the inclusion early in the update document on pages 13 or 14, a section of at least one paragraph with a high-level heading, and a graphic or bolding to highlight attention, with clear language on how much we are off track from our climate goals, and an acknowledgement that current efforts need to be scaled dramatically to meet these goals.
Do you have that, Anne?
No, maybe Monty can just email. Or I can listen to the recording.
Okay,
too.
okay. So,
Yeah, but you're basically asking for you're drawing attention to the quantitative elements of the graph in that sentence.
Yes.
It's
One more time, does that help?
It's, I think Monty just has a specific way that he would like it called out so that it is something that like somebody who is skimming the document would latch on to and at least read when they're looking at this 60-page document.
So is there any other discussion? So, can we, yes, Glenn,
I move to accept the proposed wording.
is there a second?
I second.
Phil seconds.
Interesting. Shall you call a vote?
Yes, all in favor of the motion, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye, is there any noes, any nays? No? It's, are you?
Even I, no, I'm enthusiastic.
Okay. All right, I think the motion passed unanimously, and I believe so.
Thank you, Mandy.
All right, Tracy, did you vote? Yes, yeah, okay, cool. All right, so, very great discussion. So now we're moving on to the public outreach for AC to heat pump conversion. A letter that Commissioner Manning drafted that you have as appendix, or item D, attachment D.
Would you like me to give a brief presentation on why I put this and what I actually approved?
I'm sorry, Manny, say that again?
Would you like me to just give like a presentation on why I put this forward and what I'm suggesting we approve in it?
Sure, please start with that.
So it's quite straightforward, just the breach code requiring or incentivizing the replacement at the burnout of an AC with a heat pump. Didn't pass at the city council as we discussed earlier. So given Climate Smart / Energy Department's current work on public outreach for electrification, this is highlighting AC to heat pump conversion as an important area of focus, and providing a couple of potential strategies that they could use to consider to expand this outreach, given that they do not have an ordinance for it. And specifically, if anyone has further ideas for the outreach strategies, that's very interested in amendments to add just a bulleted list. So this is in an attempt to see how the outreach by Climate Smart and San Jose Clean Energy can achieve as much of the intent of the ordinance as possible, just through giving the people as much information as possible to choose to replace their burnt out AC with a heat pump.
Oh, well, first of all, let me say I applaud your idea to keep moving forward, even though the council voted this down, so thanks. I have a lot of comments for you on your letter, Annie, but they're all basically have more to do with characterizing the issue, not your desire to try to deal with the issue. So one of the things that you might, I'm curious, maybe there's some really good reason that you can share with me that I don't understand, but you're always referring to AC, and that's only air conditioning. When in fact there were two pathways in alternative one. One was installing a heat pump HVAC system, so that's cooling and heating, and meeting the state standards. Or pathway 2 is install a standard AC cooling only alongside an existing gas furnace and making other energy efficiency improvements. The thing is, I don't want us to lose sight of HVAC because that is the most important thing that we can ask people, we can encourage people to do is to replace their entire system, not just the air conditioning. Now, there's some reasons why some people might want to replace only their AC, so we don't want to ignore that. But I think from a climate change point of view, we really want to, so I'd love to have your letter talk about HVAC as well. Does that make sense?
Because heating systems fail too. And another missed opportunity here is I guess I would say you definitely want, in addition to targeting the public, you may want to also target the AC contractors and solar panel contractors, because if you put in solar, suddenly your heat is free if you use a heat pump and instead of using gas. Because the AC is just trading electric for electric, but heat is trading gas for electric. And if you're solar, you know, your payback period looks a lot different
Right.
for moving to heat pump. So just as it, you know, I like targeting the AC, but also, you know, targeting the heat failure, and targeting also failing hot water heaters. And I think this is, you know, something that when solar contractors go in, they're trying to sell, I want to get you cheaper electricity. This is something we want to hook into the solar and the HVAC contractor space, I think.
Okay.
Does this move away from, I think your original intent was to counter the fact that we lost that reach code, which I think didn't address, and I'm not saying we shouldn't include solar, but it didn't address that. It's moving your letter into a different space than totally counteracting the fact that we, you know, the council did not approve alternative one.
Yeah, so the goal of the letter was just to look at what the reach code would have accomplished and propose that we try and achieve as much as possible through public outreach.
Right.
So just focusing on when the AC burns out, replacing it with a heat pump. Having outreach at the burnout of a gas furnace, obviously very, very important. Just I didn't include it because it was not
So,
to this specific topic.
I'm even okay with accepting it as it stands and let people downstream
Right.
figure out the other pieces, but I just want to point it out.
Yeah,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Yeah, so to that end, I want to second that by saying even a control F AC to HVAC alone would go a pretty long way, especially to the point that people don't realize that heating, as to your point, heating is actually a lot more energy intensive than cooling. There's a whole joke about moving everyone from the Northeast to the South actually saved this country a whole lot of electricity. That's a joke, but there's truth behind that joke. So to that end, my recommendation would be to focus as equally, if not heavier, on the heating aspect, not cooling aspect.
Agreed.
Thank you. I think the reason I focused on the AC is because one, that was with the ordinance, and two, depending on the scale of time that we're considering, after 2029, all going well with the air district regulations, when your gas furnace goes out, it will need to be replaced by something that's not committing so likely heat pump.
But Manny, the alternative one did include HVAC. There were two pathways, pathway 1 and pathway 2. You want to see what this letter says? Here.
Yeah, so the other pathway would be energy efficiency upgrades with another AC unit. That's if this is something that we're trying to put outreach to encourage people to do the most climate positive action in here, that would be replacing with the heat pump and not the AC and additional energy efficiency upgrades, because then they have a heat pump that can do heating and cooling, and if they currently have a gas furnace, they will not be using it, or at least will be using it less.
I guess I think we're sort of saying, don't just, in your letter, don't just focus on AC.
Right.
You're missing an opportunity, and it's part of alternative 1. You know, so you need to, because it is HVAC, the heating element is so important,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
you know.
you're getting rid of the gas as well. It's like you said, it's not just electricity for electricity, it's electricity for gas.
So-
and
so-
getting
so-
gas out of the
So in
system.
the interest of moving this agenda item forward, do we have some simple, specific things we can add to this, or do we want to approve it as is?
I do have one thing that I'd like to add from your comments, which is just in the bulleted items portion, adding target AC and solar contractors for this outreach, not just homeowners.
So I'm okay with approving it as is, and if we want to make if somebody wants to draft a separate memo for the next meeting, about heating systems, that's okay. I think we don't really, I don't wanna spend the meeting wordsmithing stuff. I wanna applaud the initiative and push it forward unless there's an objection.
Well, I would like to, I think we're making a statement. My feeling is we're making a statement, it should be the right statement, that's all-inclusive. And that I think it's better to, because we're gonna be meeting soon anyway, it'd be better to work with Manny to make some adjustments and bring it to our next meeting, which is, by the way, probably going to be fairly soon. So, yeah, Manny.
So I think the biggest thing that we would think to add is replacing a gas furnace at burnout with heat pump. I think that is, or as soon as possible.
Yeah, please.
It's not just gas furnaces. Any heating is a lot more energy intensive. So like you're, again, to his point, you're really limiting yourself a little more than you should.
Mm-hmm.
This the thing that failed the vote in the city council was just addressing people requesting replacement for an AC, right?
Right.
You guys are talking about other stuff.
This language is replace on fail. And I'm just saying heating systems fail too, and replace on fail.
But, okay, you're taking on other.
Okay,
But I don't know, we shouldn't be limited to the AC, I don't think.
No.
Well, no, of course not.
So
And also, Manny, the other issue is, it's really dangerous to talk about burnout. I think we should talk about replacement. Because the concept of people thinking about replacement for heat pump technology is far more expansive than having them think that, well, I'm gonna wait until burnout, till my system
I don't
fails.
wanna do that.
You know, so I would just, these are wordsmithing, I'd just say replacement instead of burnout.
So what I was intending for the letter is to just bring focus to something that could potentially be a blind spot among the electrification outreach that is already being done. So I think there's already a very strong focus on installing a heat pump at whatever time, whether your gas furnace goes out or prior to that, but just with homeowners in the specific circumstance of needing to replace their AC, if they do so without understanding that there is benefit to having a heat pump instead, they can put forward the money for the AC, lose that, and then when their gas furnace burns out later, they'll have to repeat the investment on the heat pump. And they could have done that from the very beginning. So it's trying to address that one situation. And I think if we go back and in a future one, try and have more systematic recommendations on other outreach, I think that would be great, but just that was the goal of this one.
We've had quite a bit of discussion, is there a motion that anyone wants to bring forward?
I move to approve the letter with the one bulleted line at the end of the list, target AC and solar contractors.
Well, I think we need to add if the HVAC concept in there and not just limited to AC. Or else we're missing half the battle.
I know, exactly. Do you have a problem with adding HVAC in there?
No, I don't. Just as long as it is still clear that this is trying to replace what the ordinance was attempting to do, rather than getting lost in just a general
Well, like I said,
statement of
alternative
what's
one,
most important outreach.
alternative one did reference HVAC. And that's what they voted on.
Yes, they voted on
Right.
the incentive to replace a burnt out AC with a heat pump or additional energy efficiency.
Okay, well, maybe somehow somebody, when they talked it through, anyway.
Okay.
So there's a motion that Manny's brought forward. Is there a second?
A second.
And is there any more discussion?
Well, are we gonna make the changes or not? Adding HVAC instead of
Apparently
AC?
Manny doesn't want to do that.
Okay,
Or
then I'm not gonna vote for it.
are you planning to add that or not, Manny?
Just each place that it
I
says.
think if we replace AC burnout with HVAC failure, that would
Right.
probably be enough to fix it.
I think so too.
AC or.
What's that? Both.
Yeah, exactly. HVAC and AC failure.
That sounds good. As long as you think, if you're reading the letter, it's clear that it's like trying to point to a hole that could be in current outreach plans for what would have otherwise been covered by the requirements of the ordinance. So basically, yes, as long as you still think it's a clear message.
I think so. I wish I'd been at the meeting, but I think that alternative one included HVAC. Anyway, so I think, but it's really your call because it's your letter. So you tell us what you want to do.
I'm fine with HVAC.
HVAC and AC failure. Is that right? Yeah.
Okay, so let me amend the motion to, we amend the motion to accept the letter as written with the amendment of, with the edits to include both heating in addition to AC and the targeting the solar installers.
Yeah.
Okay, this, I don't know if we need to care about the specific language here, but I think if you understand the intent, we can trust you to include it. Is that enough of a thing? Can we, within the bounds of this, can we say we accept it, or do we have to have the precise wording for the motion?
I mean, I think we can probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
And then you
we can
guys-
pull something together from what's
Okay.
been said and.
All right, so
Realize it
by
in
the
the
time we get the
minutes.
minutes, it'll be
It'll
straightened
be
out.
approved by Karen.
It's okay, like,
All right.
move to
And
accept.
thank you, Manny,
So-
for
so-
doing
so-
this.
So I move to accept Manny's letter amended with targeting solar installers and including heating and HVAC in addition to AC burnout.
I second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion passes unanimously. All right, and Manny, the fact that you even made this happen is awesome. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for that.
We were
Quick
very,
question.
very disappointed with the ordinance results. So.
Lonnie, so the reason that you're including the rules and open government committee on this letter is the hope that they make this an agenda item on a future council and let
This
staff
was-
to do this?
Recommendation from the clerk's office on how to
Okay.
proceed with a letter like this.
Okay.
Because usually, most of the letters are targeted towards the reporting body, which would be transportation environment. But since Monty wanted this to be more geared towards city staff, it was recommended by the clerk's office that it goes to rules to memorialize and like sort of formalize that the letter was created and approved by the commission, just sort of as a formality.
Okay.
And then it would be directed to city staff
Got
at the same time.
So we need to move on now to item D in the agenda. And what we'd like to start with, this is a little bit unusual, but Vic has some thoughts that he shared with Zach and with Ann and myself regarding an ad hoc committee to review SJCE's financial reserve policy. Is that an appropriate way to say it? That's the latest I know.
Yeah, I was interested in looking at the reserves. And I wanted to have an ad hoc so that we could do that and ask you all if you want to do that. But there's actually, we can do that in the future. There's something that is more, it seems to me, where the timing matters. The deal with the Brown Act is that we can't talk or launch a ad hoc meeting unless it's on an agenda. So if we wanted to create an ad hoc, we would have to say, let's put it on a future agenda, then we could have the ad hoc. Okay, that's just how it's got to work. Zach said earlier tonight that there is a major rate discussion that is going to the council on December 9th.
Approximately, yeah.
Approximately. And that means that we will see what the staff produce at our November meeting, and it'll be, okay, we get to comment and there it goes. But we would not have had any input into that other than ex post, not like it or lump it, but it's hard to change much. And once it's, that cool. And rates are complicated. I mean, there's lots of moving parts and there's money, a lot of money involved. The reason why I started these discussions was that I realized that San Jose Clean Energy is in a pretty, its reserves have built up quite a bit. They're close to 350 million. By my calculations.
And you know, we can't get too far
Sorry,
into
yeah,
this,
actually,
right?
okay, right,
Yeah,
right.
Right.
The point is that if we want to have a substantive input and participation in the rates that come, thank you, Ken, we would have to have an ad hoc that could work with the staff. And we can't have and if we don't have, if we say, yeah, let's have an ad hoc, it won't be able to, all we could say is let's just consider it ad hoc. If we do that in the November meeting, it's sort of too late for that ad hoc committee to
Right.
work with the staff before it hits the council, and we wouldn't see it again. And so I was trying to figure out within the Brown Act, what could we possibly do? And I was giving up, and Zach said, well, there is something you hadn't thought of, but I did. I'm giving him full credit. He feels the bus tracks over his.
And I think the upshot is that to make this all work with the timing, I think this was Zach's idea, that we should have a special meeting to approve an ad hoc committee that would begin working on this and deliver a report to the commission at a special commission meeting on October 6th. And then we would be able to, at that meeting, have the opportunity to review it. And then that would push then to deal with the December 9th timing. Then that would push us to also shift the November meeting. That would be normally on the 20th, that to move that forward to November 6th. So the Vic's desire to be able to work on this necessitates adding a commission meeting and changing the dates so that it gives Climate Smart SJCE time to address our comments.
It's not my desire. The question is whether we want to participate in this rate in some substantive way. And that's a choice, because the staff have in the past created rates, we've commented on them and they've gone on and the council passed them. There's an opportunity to be more participatory. And if we wanted to do that, we'd have to launch an ad hoc meeting or ad hoc committee. Doing that, the sooner the better. And it's sort of a simple meeting in a sense, but just approve or not approve. We probably aren't going to say we want to do this unless we're going to approve, because then it's not worth doing at all. But if we did, so we said, okay, let's do an ad hoc meeting.
Committee.
Let's do a special meeting to approve an ad hoc. That would launch an ad hoc. The sooner we did that, say first week in October, a date that works for enough people to get a quorum. Then we have an ad hoc that would be the people that want to participate in this, that would work with the staff.
I think that, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think, Victor, I think that the concept would be to make a decision on the ad hoc committee today.
If we can do that, that's great.
Yeah.
No, we would have to have a the week of October 6th, we would have to have a special session to discuss and recommend the creation of an ad hoc and vote on it.
Is that time?
Then it would
Will that
be, then there would be an ad hoc committee. There would then be 4 weeks until
November 6th.
November 6th,
Okay.
which is the cutoff
Okay.
for the memos and the report
My
that would
bad.
need to go.
Sorry
to
about that. I
council.
got us ahead of the game then. So really all we're doing today is planning to do this.
We're voting on
But-
a special it's
with two
basically 2
sessions.
special sessions. It would be one the week of October 6th, and then a second one would be on November 6th. Wait,
Now,
is
could
that correct?
everybody
Yeah.
look at their calendar? First of all,
Yeah.
Point of order, is that within our charter?
yes.
To do what Vic has suggested, is that within the charter of this commission? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Will we decide on the specific date and time right now?
That's the only thing we can do right now.
Right, right. Yeah, thank you, Victor. Yeah. So if, does there need to really be a motion and to even decide to have 2 special meetings? And does there need to be do we need a motion approved to even decide on 2 special meetings, or can we just move forward to make those, to schedule those meetings?
I mean, I think we can talk about the date first, and if we
Right.
find dates that work and it seems like this is a possibility, then we can make the motion to
Okay.
have a meeting on this date and then the subsequent meeting on this date.
So what,
That's fine.
for all of you here, what dates, the week of the 6th would work for you guys?
I was actually gonna suggest that because we always meet on Thursdays, I was gonna suggest October 9 and November 6 respectively. Those are 2 Thursdays of that week.
I have a Santa Clara County Sustainability Commission meeting that night, so the
That night,
9th
so-
I can't do.
Yeah, so the 9th, we don't need to do
Don't
it.
need everybody there.
We just need 6.
We need 6.
I think I would like to have you here though, Bill. I think
Well,
this
thank
is
you.
important.
As long as we have a quorum, we're okay. I
Yeah.
can make both October's 9th, you said, and November 6th?
And what about October 7th or 8th? How does that work for
I
people?
could do the 7th.
1 vote for the 7th. 7th works for me.
Either of those should work for me.
So Manny, that works or doesn't?
Yes, both
He
of them
does?
should work
Okay.
for me.
You said 7, 8, or 9.
Sure.
7th? How about-
Anything works for me.
Oh, okay, and
Same
Tracy,
here.
how about you, the 7th? That's a,
I would prefer 9, but I can make 7.
okay,
I
Cool.
prefer 8 or 9, but I can
Yeah.
make 7.
Do we want to do this like a live doodle poll?
Either works for me
That sounds
too.
like,
Yeah, we got it?
We just did, I think we just did.
I think we just did, yeah. I think we're probably, is there anyone, let's put it this way, anyone who the 7th won't work for?
I won't be.
You can't be here for the 7th. So is there anyone who can't make the 8th? You can't make the 8th
8th or 9th. no.
or 9th? Okay,
I think it's okay for one person.
yeah.
You guys have enough.
You're okay. So one person, so who wants to make a motion on?
But so does that count against unexcused absences? I don't know. Well, I'm not gonna-
I can look
I wanna make
into
sure
it,
that,
but
can we, I just wanna make sure that, I wanna make sure Tracy gets an excused absence for this, that's all, however we do that.
there's a pretty wide range for excused
What's that?
absences. I wouldn't worry too much.
Okay,
There's a
I
pretty
just-
broad range
just
for
checking the-
excused
so,
absences.
Can we
How
pick
about
up?
this?
Motion to have a special meeting on Tuesday, October 7th.
Time.
Second?
Time.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
A
Tuesday,
second?
Tuesday, October
Yeah.
9th, sorry.
October 9th and what
No, no,
time?
no, 7th.
October 9th
October
is
7th.
Thursday.
Excuse me, October 7th and what
October
time?
7th, is that what you said?
6 p.m.?
Bill?
6 p.m.
Tell me what I said, what?
Somebody
Oh, yeah.
misspoke
We're
for
recording,
you.
we can play.
Yeah, okay. I show Tuesday, October 7th.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's correct.
And so there's a second,
what's that?
and so all in favor for
At 6 p.m.?
At 6 p.m.
Thank you,
6 p.m.
thank you very much.
Thank you, very good.
Tuesday, October 7th at 6 p.m., a special
And there-
meeting of the,
And we have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor? Aye. And opposed? So now,
Seconded.
great, that is accepted, that's approved. So let's move on to November 6th, which I think is more specific. And that is a Thursday. So that sort of follows our
Too far away.
our sort of our plan. So how about, any problems with this, anyone problems with the 6th?
I'll be in the Atlantic Ocean on a
Oh,
cruise.
that's right, well,
Count me out.
I'll be out too.
okay, and we have 2 out. So are we, I guess we could try to fly you back for that night.
Even if you paid for it, I would.
Okay, so 2 people can't make it here.
Date is this?
So is there a motion
November 6th.
for November 6th at 6 p.m.?
Right.
I move, I'll do a motion for the change. I move that we plan the normally scheduled November meeting as a special meeting on November 6th at 6 p.m.
I second.
Is there a second? Manny seconds. All in favor, say aye, or
Aye.
raise your hand. Aye. And opposed? Glenn, how you doing on the 6th? Does that work?
Hard to say, but I'll support it. I
Yes,
mean,
okay.
it might not be able to attend those.
Okay, so then that is approved for November 6th at 6 p.m. And so, wow, okay, so.
Would you like
That's
me-
in lieu of the regular November meeting?
Correct, that's
Would
in
you like
lieu
me
of-
to go over the agenda, the work plan items that we have for the November meeting that will now be held on the 6th? So
Yes, please.
we have the transportation semi-annual update, and then an introduction to the building performance ordinance. And related to the building performance ordinance, we actually do have an update that we've been requested to present to council on that ordinance specifically. So we do want to bring in November some very early information that we want to be presenting to council. And depending on how that progresses, we may report back in January, but if it seems like it's pretty much following what we brought to you in November, we may not bring it back in January. And then I think we would also be bringing the integrated resource plan, is that correct, in November?
It's starting to sound like a big one.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yes, as currently, hopefully, I mean, everyone thinks that's the due date for that's gonna push out, in which case we could also push that out, but for now, we should hold it. Can the transportation, can that?
I think we can bump, because that's
That's
not
January,
a
'cause-
formal
Yeah.
council update, it's sort of impromptu, so.
And then is that it for the formal?
And then I think the
Yeah.
rates. And then in addition, we will also have the end of Karen's term as chair, so we will need to elect a new chair. And then I think that's pretty much.
And then maybe that was mentioned, the issue that Vic brought up.
The
That
rates.
would be part of the
Yeah.
rates.
The rates, yeah.
It sounds like a big meeting, so I mean.
Sorry, what were the first couple things on the meeting agenda?
We just, the transportation update, it's sort of an informal update, that's not a formal update to council, so I do think I can reach out and probably bump that to January.
Okay.
And then the building performance ordinance, that's something in the climate smart team. And normally that would have been just an informal, just learning about another program, but now we have been asked to present to council, so there is a bit more of a formal recommendation that would be asked for that one.
There's no ordinance changes, there's no changes.
No, so
You cannot,
we
you're locked out.
We had an administrative update to the building performance ordinance where we were changing, in the definitions, it said the department is defined as environmental services, but now we're part of energy. So we redefined that to energy. It was pulled from consent, and we had some questions about the ordinance unrelated to the actual changes, but requesting us to report back with information on how the program has been running, like some data that we've gathered from it, more about the program, like an in-depth dive on
I see.
what it is, what it's been doing, is it effective, do we have recommendations, that type of thing, so.
Right. And I guess if there is no more discussion, then this meeting is adjourned.
Do we not have to motion to accept that?
You know, I think that, not necessarily, no, if there's no more discussion, I can just adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
What am I
Are
dictator
you
thing?
objecting?
What
to-
am I?
No, but I was gonna motion to accept that, but, well, okay then. Can I make one comment before we adjourn? Regarding my comment during discussion about items here earlier, I just want to clarify that I do not support displacement of any people, voluntary and involuntary. So I wanted to clarify my comment, and if there's any misunderstanding, since it's recorded, I just wanted to clarify that on record before we adjourn. Thank you.
I'm sorry, say the last part again, I'm sorry.
I don't support displacement of any people for any reason. During my discussion about heat pumps and such, I may have made a comment that may be misunderstood. So I wanted to
Okay.
clarify my comment and say that I do not support displacement of people.
Forced
Right.
vibration to the south.
I do not support.
You're not on that, okay.
Totally heard that. This is not gonna be